In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Grand Seiko SBGH269 and what it's been like to own this watch for the past 1 year. Welcome to the Mainspringer channel. I'm Parikh, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the SBGH269. Before we get started, if you haven't seen my previous video on what Rolex can learn from TUDOR, please check it out. I've added the link in the description below. This watch is the Grand Seiko SBGH269. It is a limited edition watch of 900 pieces that was introduced in 2019. The watch has been sold out for a while now. I bought this watch after hearing to the review of Adrian on Bark and Jack. The watch has a 44 GS inspired case. It's about 39.5 millimeters in diameter, and it actually wears really well on the wrist. The really cool aspects about this watch is the amazing Zaratsu polish, which is like the mirror-like finish that you see, which is quite special by the Grand Seiko brand. And of course, the very unique dial, but we'll get to that in a moment. When we talk about the internals of the watch has a 9S85 movement, which is a high beat, high torque movement. The really unique thing about this movement is it actually keeps very great accuracy, and at the same time, it actually has good resistance to shock and bumps. The best way to explain how a high torque movement works is imagine a top spinning on a table. If the top is spinning at a very low speed, even a slight bump to the table can basically make the top stop spinning just because of that bump. However, if the top is spinning at a very high speed, even if you do bump the table, the top continues to spin because it has a lot of energy in order to keep that motion alive. That's really how a high beat movement works. The movement, because of its high torque and the high speed, is more resistant to shock and bumps that could affect the accuracy of the timekeeping. If we turn the watch around, it does have a sapphire see-through case back, and on the back of it is a titanium rotor that is anodized in this beautiful green color. It's hard to see the movement itself because the rotor does obscure a big portion of the movement, but such is the case with this watch. Going back now to the real star of this watch, it is the dial. The dial on here is meant to evoke the light passing through the fall colored leaves in the autumn season, and those being reflected onto the lacquered floorboards of a traditional Japanese house. I think that emotion is beautifully captured in this watch. It's amazing to see how the light reflects off that dial, creating various shades of red to burgundy. And the really cool thing about this watch is, in the absence of direct light, the dial actually looks very plain and vanilla. But when light strikes it at an angle, you really see the vibrance of the dial come alive. I generally rotate through my watches on a weekly basis, and once in every few weeks, I get to wear this watch on the wrist. I've now owned this watch for a year, and as you can see, I'm not a person who generally runs into items that easily, as you can see by this Zaratsu polish mostly intact on this watch. But really the fun part about wearing this watch is the fact that I can admire this dial every time I wear it on my wrist. It is a beautiful, beautiful dial, something that you can get lost in just looking at. Overall, I think this watch is fantastic value for its price, and in the secondhand market, it's already trading well above retail. There are few dials that are made to this beautiful quality in the Grand Seiko's portfolio, and I think this is one of the stars of the show. There are a few aspects of this watch though that are bothersome. The first one being the bracelet that this watch comes on. I feel that this bracelet either wears too tight or too loose just because of the available links for adjustability, and I tend to not like my watch to have a lot of wiggle on the wrist, so compared to most other watches, I wear this watch a bit too tight on my wrist. The second aspect of this watch really comes down to the twin trigger clasp. The clasp itself is pretty nice. However, as you might see, once the clasp closes, the edge of the clasp is not flush with the rest of the bracelet. So things can catch on here pretty easily, and I feel that in a watch that costs as much as the Grand Seiko, they really could have spent a little bit more time to improve the fit and finish on this part of the watch. Grand Seiko is part of the Seiko family, and even the Seiko watches have clasps that have a lot nicer finish and stay flush with the rest of the bracelet, and I feel this is a very easy target for Grand Seiko to upgrade and make this watch to take the bracelet to a much better level. Overall, I think This is one of my favorite Grand Seikos. When I actually went to the store to first purchase this watch, I was looking at this watch in low light and under uniform fluorescent light. And to be entirely honest, in that lighting condition, the dial is a bit underwhelming. However, when you take the dial and walk out into the sunlight, that's when it really starts to shine. And that's really what made me pull the trigger on how beautiful this dial is. If you like this video, hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos of this sort, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be notified on when these videos drop. What is your favorite Grand Seiko? Do you like this particular model? Please let me know in your comments below. Thank you, and talk to you later.